Hey everyone, I am Wendy Watson, love and embodiment architect, leadership. This is Cara Jean. You want to take a moment to introduce yourself, sweetheart?
I am Cara Jean Wilson. I am an executive coach, but I'm not your dad's executive coach. I help the new normal leaders as they launch through into dismantling this hustle cult and leaning back into ecosystems instead of organization charts.
Yes, I love it. And today we are talking about adaptive leadership. What the heck is that? How is it different from conscious leadership, situational leadership, and all of these other different aspects of leadership styles? And, I think this is a really important conversation as people try and define what their leadership style is and understanding that there are different types of leadership styles, right? Just like there's different types of personality styles and, human designs and all of these different things. I think this is a really important conversation. And so we're going to talk about some of the five pillars. And the first one is presence over protocol.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, as I've been thinking about this, when I was a massage therapist, I would always talk to my clients for 10, 15 minutes before we even got on the table. One, so that they could release what was going on in their head, so that they could relax before they even got on the table. Two, I could hear what was working for them, what's not working for them, just what's going on, and connect with them on a human to human basis before I start manipulating their energy and manipulating their body and all of their systems that go along with that. And so translating that from massage therapy into verbal mentorship and energetic mentorship, spiritual mentorship, all the things that I do, has been an interesting journey for sure. So, Cara, do you have any comments that you want to share as far as presence over protocol?
So my life took a similar path. My very first career was massage back 8 decades ago. And that the concept of assessment before diagnosis, because otherwise it's malpractice, has stayed with me all the way through. And while I think systems and structures are incredibly important to have, if we are so focused on this is the thing that's going to solve you, ooh, we already done missed the mark. That's already gross.
Yep.
So if we don't assess where that person is in their journey, we can't figure out within the system how we can support them. There's almost always a way if the system is healthy. But unless we assess that before diagnosing, and too often we lean into that protocol and we're like, oh, this is your problem, without even looking at the person and being present to what their, not what we think their problem is, what they think their problem is, because it does not. Second phrase that I love so much around the same concept. You cannot coach a vampire not to bite. Andrew Nylik wrote a whole book on this, highly suggest 10 for 10. And it goes into the whole, like, you can teach them how to avoid garlic, how to evade getting stabbed by villagers, how to know when the villagers are rallying. But until the vampire does not want to bite, that is off the table.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you think that they are because of your protocol. It matters where they think they are. You have to
Yes.
start there.
100%. The other aspect of that, and this is what I learned in doing a 3-week research study with a bunch of women, is that they want a coach, they want a mentor that's going to meet them in their moment. And I will tell you, at least speaking for myself and hearing all of these other women, we are emotional creatures. Imagine that, right? So, what emotion are we in that moment? Did we just get into a fight with our husband because he's being too dominant or he's not doing enough or whatever? What personality are we bringing to the table today? Because we have all kinds of different personalities going on in our heads
Yeah.
that we need a coach that would be like, okay, where are you today?
right now.
How do I see you? How can you communicate with me who you are today so I can meet you with where you are in this moment? Because there's times where they say they want tough love, they want gentle conditioning, they want collaboration, they want structure, they want act, they want all of these different things in one person, or sometimes a network of people, right? So if you're not taking a few minutes before, if you're just going straight into your protocol, that's more situational, structured type leadership. Adaptive leadership is being like, okay, let's connect with you right now. You tell me what's going on. What are you feeling today? What are you experiencing today? And what do you need from me today? Do you
Yeah.
need me to give you the tough love, the assertive, directive approach? Do you need me to give you the emotional, gentle, caring approach? What do you need from me today so that I can give you the structure that I have in the presence that you need me to give it to you?
Yeah. Hmm. I love that you brought up women specifically. So one of the things that is becoming very aware in working with men and women is women have this deep ingrained understanding that things change. Like the only constant in life is that things change. And in a woo-woo corporate kind of way, you can really look at that as the cycles of the moon, right? So for a woman, the secular patterns go in 28 days, whereas for a man, it's 24 hours. So they are much more inclined to those structured, to the every day is more the same. It's the same different day, right? That way of being, not that it's men, but it is a more masculine way to be versus the more feminine. It's going to change on a regular basis. And being able to adapt between those two and know what does our day look like versus where are we in our reality, and being able to blend those. And it really highlights that there's not one that's better than the other, right? It's
Right.
not that protocol leadership is bad. It's not that structured leadership is, that doesn't, bad and good does not apply in this space. It is either productive in moving our people forward or it's not. And if it's not, we really, as the leader, need to adapt so that it is.
Yes. Yes. And that brings me to the next pillar, which is the rhythm of
Mm,
response. Right. So once I got a client on the massage table, the first thing I do is I would connect with them and I would connect with their body rhythm. And when I connected with their body rhythm, then I could move their muscles and their tissues in rhythm with that. And number one, it was more effective.
yep.
Number two, it wasn't as painful for the client. They weren't like, oh, yeah, that feels so good. Right. And they had a much longer lasting effect.
Yeah.
So when you can move into the rhythm and know when to push, when to pull, when to pivot, when to sway, and navigate, let's say you have a 60-minute or 90-minute session with your client,
Hmm.
right? That 60-minute, 90-minute has a specific rhythm to it. And being in rhythm with your client during that whole 60 to 90 minutes will help you to be able to get into rhythm and respond how they respond through your protocol.
Yes. Yes. So many thoughts coming up into my brain at one time, right? You're watching in real time as it organizes through and decides what should come out the face hole. So Katie, got to hear a little bit of this, right, as she came
Yeah.
in. If we do not look at the rhythms of our life, if we don't take into account that some days the hormone soup is like super creative and exciting, and other days the hormone soup is salty, you know what I mean? And if we're not taking that into consideration, then we become reactive. And when we're reactive, we use our BS, our belief systems, as gasoline on the dumpster fire train wreck avalanche that is already happening in front of us. And then we wonder why things aren't getting better.
Or we could totally show up in a structured setting immediately and in a half an hour have a heat flash, which means the hormones are going all over the place, which means now we need a different approach in that
Yeah.
moment.
And being able to recognize that these things are going to come, that they think that The soup's going to get soupy, and that is just part of being a meat suit full of hormone soup. Congratulations, you're doing it right. Also, that doesn't mean we have to react from that place. We can respond from that place only if we can recognize our own rhythms. I talk a lot about Newtonian physics in my coaching because that is this, right? The idea that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And in leadership we talk about building our capacity, right? That we push and then we recover, and that allows us to expand and contract, and
Yep.
that's how you grow that muscle of leadership. It's basic Newtonian physics. But when we're in that contract space, ooh, are we not groomed to just beat ourselves up so hard in that space?
Yep.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Got to
It, you
unlearn
know,
that.
it's Newtonian leadership, or Newtonian physics. It's also spirituality, masculine, feminine energy, sun, moon rhythms, all, whether you want to call it physics or science or spiritual alignment, spiritual movement, spiritual flow, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing, just different vocabulary.
Same diff.
And
Yep.
this is part of what I am designed to do, is help bridge that gap between the physics, the leadership, what's
Hmm.
considered quote unquote normal, and spirituality, because we're all talking the same thing, right?
Woo woo corp. Yep. It literally is the same thing.
Yes. All right. Third
And
pillar.
that goes, so
Yes.
I'm gonna hold right before we move on. That goes
Yeah.
literally to the adaptive leadership, right? Is recognizing your audience. So for some people, I'm gonna go full woo woo. Like we're gonna go straight into, okay, so the Lionsgate portal is coming and the alignment is aligning. What are you pull? And then for other people, you go in that direction and
Checked
they're
out.
already gone. They're not at all. So for them, it's like, hey, so Newton, Newton and Newton's law. Do you know about Newton's law? Let's apply that. And then suddenly they're like, oh, no, that makes sense. For others, you're like, so blockchains. You understand how blockchains carry information from one section to an cool. We have to be able to adapt being able to speak to your people as they
Yes.
need to hear it, not how you need to say it. It's not about you.
Because it's not about, right? Because it's not about you. It's about them. How do they need to hear it in this moment? On Monday, they might need to hear the spiritual conversation. On Tuesday, they might need to hear the
Full on
physics.
analytical. Yes.
You know, I lately I've been tuning into the Greek philosophers, right? So maybe we need to be philosophical that day.
Little Voltaire or a little Socrates today. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So being able
Yeah.
to adapt to where they are. I remember tutoring a kid in math, and the first thing I asked her is, "What is your favorite activity? What's your favorite subject?" And she said basketball. I was like, "Great. We're going to put math in terms of basketball so that you can easily
Awesome.
digest this because that's your thing." Right?
Yeah.
It's no different in executive leadership or in mentorship. We still need to meet them where they're at, figure out what their vocabulary is, what space they're in, and how they need to be presented. And that's adaptive leadership.
Okay. Third pillar. Thank you.
Okay, third pillar, structured fluidity.
Mm, so I'm going to jump right in just to those
Yep.
words because
I knew there was a pause there for a minute.
so as a neurospicy human being, my brain equally requires so much structure and an absolute ability to dismantle it whenever I feel necessary. Like having that structure so that I know where the boundaries of my ability to go absolutely nuts are without without needing a whole team to herd this cat.
Right. So I have two ways to symbolize this. One is the spine, right?
Mm,
The spine is a structure,
yeah.
but the structure has to be fluid in order for the nervous system to be to be a living environment,
Yeah.
right? In order for the structure to not pinch the nerves, to not close off different, arteries and vessels and the synapse and all the things that are in the spine that keep us structure, that keep us upright, right? There's that component to it for those that need to hear it in the anatomical way. When it comes to massage, you have a structure, you have a basis, you have, a protocol, but
Mm-hmm.
you modify that based off what the client needs in that moment.
Yeah.
So, you might have a 60-minute or 55-minute protocol, but if they want extra time on the shoulders or extra time on the feet or extra time on the scalp or the back or something, you have to adjust your timing and adjust your structure to what they want. And
Yeah.
it's no different in executive leadership and mentorship. So you might have, a 6-week program or a 6-month program, and you have this idea of what it's going to look like and what you want to teach them, but it needs to be breathable. It needs to be a living thing, and it needs to be fluid
Yeah.
to adapt to how that particular person, or if it's a group class, how that particular group is moving through your material.
Yes. Yeah. So that's part of the reason that I created the Cara method the way that I created it. It's based off of the binary triple process of our brain. Right. So the CARE method is 4 steps: clarify, assess, realign, achieve. But within that, we adapt because sometimes we are in that creative side and maybe we need more play or more learning or
Right.
we need more growth in our life. And then other times we are in full analytical mode. Like we are locked into facts, data, and statistics. Give it to me. In that case, we need to focus on the job, on our work, on how we are fixing things for the future. But they all go together in the same process, and knowing where you are in that allows you to adapt and utilize all of it rather than mindset. So you're looking for a mind sync. How can you get your whole you on board?
Right. And so what I heard, and that is something that you had already mentioned, which is expansion and contraction, which is feminine energy, right? And knowing what that's guided by.
Yeah.
Right? Is that guided by the moon? Is that guided by the sun? Is that guided by your cycle, your physical cycle? Like, what is that guided by for you? That's where conscious leadership comes in, is
Yeah.
self-awareness and how you're presenting yourself. Whereas adaptive leadership is how are you meeting the person in front of you?
Yeah. And in my BS, you have to have, for me, I believe that those go hand in hand, right? You cannot adapt if you are in a reactive space. If you haven't done this work, you're not going to be ready for that work.
Right. So you're saying conscious leadership comes first, adaptive leadership comes second.
Yeah.
So
Because if
what I'm
you're working
hearing
from
is this,
depleted, you can't adapt. You're depleted.
yep. If you're forcing yourself to be in expansion when you're meant to be in contraction, you cannot adapt to the person that's in front of you. You just
Mhm.
can't because you're forcing yourself to be out of rhythm yourself.
Yep. And whatever comes out, if you're starting from a place of exhaustion, the only thing you will create is fatigue for you and them. Like we literally see that everywhere. We are currently living that existence in so many areas in the world right now. And it's not cute.
It's,
Self-care is resistance care, please. Thank you.
it's preventative maintenance, right? That that thought that I was going to say, we'll save for another conversation. So the fourth pillar is collaborative calibration.
Oh, ooh.
Mentorship is co-creation. The mentee is an active participant in shaping their journey, which builds trust and speeds up transformation.
Mm, mm,
Is that not a juicy title?
mm, mhm. Yeah.
So
And
what are you thinking when I say collaboration, calibration?
that this is probably the hardest of the we work, right? Like there's the me work, which is its own level of hard. But when we go working with others, because genetically and socially, we have been groomed and conditioned in this hustle cult and taught very much wrong things, right? We don't meet each other where we are at. That part is hard enough. But co-creation in that space, absolutely being okay with the reality that someone else is going to have a vastly different experience in life and therefore different opinions, different understandings than we're going to have, and allowing space for both of those to be true so you can co-create that reality. That's layers upon layers of work for a very simple job.
Well, it only becomes simple after the layers and layers and layers of work. Otherwise, I know a lot of people are going to be like, collaboration, what? Like their minds are probably going to be like smoking, probably trying to figure out what that means.
Mhm.
But it it's incredibly important in order to be able to adapt together, right? And for that adaptive leadership, you have to be able to calibrate with the other person. And so what these women are telling me is that they want somebody that connects with them. They want somebody that sees them where they're at in that moment, right? And so if you cannot calibrate to that while maintaining your own calibration, right? Because you don't want to calibrate to somebody else's energy and lose yours, because then you're not going to be the leader that they need you to be, and you're going to then totally be out of sync. So the key component in that is maintaining your calibration while adapting to theirs.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, uncomfortable ego statement that is going to align with that. One of the reasons that I so enjoy working specifically with women is that women have been groomed and conditioned to do this work so much, right? Like to a toxic level, let's be honest, often at the expense of self. Fair.
Cannot tell you how many people are, I want to teach you energetic boundaries.
That is a whole deep dive conversation in of itself,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
soapbox aside, working with men, one of the struggles in that space is that they have been groomed and conditioned to allow someone else to do most of that work so it's easier for them to do that job. Not because they don't want to do that work, but because they have not been taught how to do that work. So when you come into a collaborative space, they are so used to commanding, controlling as that literally their job, as society has groomed it to be, and letting somebody else figure out the collaborative part of that. The ego hit that comes when somebody meets you where you are and is like, okay, here's my work and here's yours, and doesn't do your work for you, triggering.
Right? There's a retreat there.
Yeah. But that's part
It,
of what has to happen.
right. Because if somebody does your homework for you, you don't learn. Did we not learn that in school? As an adult, have we not quite figured that out yet? Like
No,
you might be
just
the
because,
bully that paid somebody to do your homework for you. Like if that's you, own it. Like be
yeah,
there. But if you want to be an adaptive leader, you're gonna have to learn to do your own work and to do the
and
hard
nobody's
stuff.
going to make it easier for you. No, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Upside, you
Yes.
can do hard things. Like I'm going to really confidently look directly into the fourth wall here. You can do hard things. I know this because you're here today, which means you have done hard things.
Hmm.
You have everything you need to succeed now. It
Right.
just might be
If
some more work.
if you're listening to this at all, even on the replays, if you're listening to this at all, it means that you're doing the hard work, that you're willing to do the hard work, and or you're ready to do the hard work,
Yeah.
right? Which leads into pillar number 5, transformational outcomes.
Mm,
Right? So when we do 1, 2, 3, 4, adaptive leadership shortens the time to break through because people feel seen, they feel safe, they feel supported, and you are moving with their rhythm.
yeah.
When you're moving with the rhythm of the river, of the creek, things are so much easier, right? It's so much easier to transform. When you're
Yeah.
swimming upstream and you're being little Miss Salmon, it takes a lot longer to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So being adaptive to their rhythms, whether it's in a class or in one-on-one session, and meeting the group as to where they are, you're going to get a much bigger transformation either out of the person, out of the group, and especially for yourself.
Yes.
Because
This
then
is the
more people are going to show up, right?
this is the crux, the difference. This is the part that bridges the gap between organization charts and ecosystems that thrive. Organization charts have to be maintained, they have to be monitored, they have to be managed because you have to put people in them and you have to make them stay in their spot. That just feels so gross to me. Versus ecosystems that say, oh, you mean today it's raining and you're just gonna be slower and softer and goopier? Cool. Because tomorrow you're going to show up as an absolute rock star, and we have space for both of those. And we're not going to judge you and get mental with our good judgment and decide that there's something wrong with you because you're a human being.
And just because they're slower doesn't mean they're less productive.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Just because they're in a goofy mood that day, or just because they're on their period and they're moving a little slower, or they're experiencing some digestive issues, does not mean that they can't focus. It does not mean that they're not productive. It just means that they're feeling something physical and dealing with some sort of physical imbalance.
Yeah.
And so they just need some compassion. And just like you said, this is your spot. You have to stay here. Whereas adaptive leadership is, oh, this may not be the best fit for you. Let's focus on your strengths. Let's identify the weaknesses and let's put you in a position. Let's see who we need to move around to put everybody in the right position to where each person is thriving. Therefore, the whole ecosystem is thriving versus, no, I hired you to do AR. You need to be doing AR. Okay,
Right.
well, if I'm not, if I'm struggling,
Right. What if I don't align with the team? What if I'm the right person, but I'm in the wrong position? Or you don't allow them to move. I think it's ridiculous. I wrote,
right.
I wrote an article on LinkedIn. It's called Everything's Harder When Your Armpits Itch. Because I think we've all experienced some form of an itchy armpit, right? Like, and how no one else in the world will have any idea that your armpits itch, but it is such a distraction. Like, it literally pulls all of your attention, and you are doing everything you can not to be like this in a public. And if you can understand that, then you can also understand that you don't know when somebody else's armpits are itching. And you can either be a salve or a burn.
Awesome, juicy conversation. I love this. I love these clever titles that people are coming up with to get people's attention and a break out of the norm, right? And be like, right.
Not your dad's coach.
Because what actually came up for me when I heard that was the sand in places that you don't want the sand, right? Because I'm a
Perfect.
beach gal. I'm a California. I grew up in
Yes.
San Diego, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I immediately go to the beach and be like, oh, I don't want sand there, right? And you can't necessarily be doing stuff till you get home, so you're just gonna have to deal with it, right? But how do you how do you adapt? How do you navigate that whole situation? And maybe just maybe, you have several different types of leadership style. Maybe in one moment you need to be
Ideally.
situational. Maybe in one moment you need to be adaptive. Maybe in another moment you need to present with conscious leadership. And I'm
Mm.
sure that there's other different forms of leadership out there that I'm not mentioning at the moment, but understanding the different types of leadership styles so that you can, quote unquote, be more adaptive in your leadership.
Yes. And I would throw in there, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you are only a compliant leadership.
Sure.
Maybe that's your
Yeah.
whole thing. In that case, surround yourself with people who have other styles. If you cannot adapt, create an adaptive space. So when that's not the thing they need to work on, you're like, cool, I'm going to have you go work with Susie. Oh, nope, sounds like a Steve thing. Let's head you over. If you can't, that's okay. You're not broken. You're not damaged. That doesn't make you wrong. That's not how humaning works.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that does mean that there are some opportunities to build some support around you so that when somebody needs something different than what you have, you can still help provide that to them.
Right. So whether that is your management group, your board people, right? Having different
Yeah.
leadership styles on your board or in your C-suite, or, you know, if you're an individual and you're hiring mentors and you're hiring coaches, going through the interview process before you spend 20, 30,000, $10,000 on a coach, find out what their leadership style is, what you need, and whether or not you need a team of mentors and coaches. Like some of the women identified that they want a whole
I
network.
work with 20 coaches a week on average.
Yeah,
It
I
takes teams.
don't. I'm way more selective. But that's my style, right?
Yeah.
So, but identifying, or you know, maybe you have one person that can do all of that. Maybe you have a whole network of people around you. Maybe you have a board that's adaptive. Just they all things to consider when you're learning about the different types of leadership styles.
Yeah. Not that there's a right or wrong way. There are simply
Right.
productive or unproductive ways.
Well, the only wrong way is to not determine what you need or not determine what kind of leadership styles you want to use, you want to learn, and to not be in alignment with yourself. That is, in my opinion, that is the only wrong way.
Yep.
Otherwise, everything else is open and the right way, whatever feels right for you, whatever resonates
Right.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Awesome
Con-
combo.
Before we leave, so controversial opinion as we close.
Okay.
If you are working in a board, a C-suite, a management team, and and you do not have anyone on your team who consistently irritates you, you don't have enough perspective on your team.
Facts. Facts. Because you need to have somebody that pushes you out of your comfort zone to get you to listen or consider different perspectives so that you can broaden your horizons and, you know, not be boxed in.
And expand your capacity to accept other people's experiences. Like it is a that is my very and it irritates people holy bunches when I say that. I apologize to everybody listening who immediately was like, I see you. I see the frustration. I hear you. I know that that is like the worst idea to your brain ever. And I'm going to stand by my statement. If you don't have somebody creating healthy tension in
Yeah.
that space, you don't have the right group around you.
And let's just be clear, healthy tension, just like Katie said, not toxic, right?
Yes.
There's got to be some healthy tension and some healthy push-pull, right? Have a
Yeah.
debate, have a healthy, open-minded,
Yeah.
mature debate, weigh the different options, and then let everybody vote, right? And
Tension
figure
pushes us
out,
to reach further. Yes, Katie.
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
What did you say, Katie?
Tension pushes us to go further. Mm.
Yes.
It's vital in co-collaboration,
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise we get,
co-creation.
mhm.
Mhm.
Otherwise we get comfortable. And I don't like comfortable because then I'm stagnant. And if I'm stagnant, I'm not growing, I'm not developing, my team's not growing, my business isn't growing, right? So absolutely, 100%. Thank you, Katie, for being on here and contributing. Did you want to leave any final thoughts on what you thought about our conversation today?
No, I thought it was enlightening, well balanced. Kind of the message I took is sort of lean into my expertise, right? It's okay to have a plan. Continue to cultivate my sense of of comfort with ambiguity, right?
Mhm.
And reinforce listening, listening, listening. You cannot be an adaptive leader without absolutely amazing listening skills.
Yes. Yes. Maybe we'll do a workshop on listening skills. I know a
Probably my
lot
most
of
asked
people,
for
including myself,
corporate class. Yep.
that could use a
Easily.
listening skills.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hence my whole book, Listen for the Love anthology.
Hmm.
Yes. So anyway, thank you for being on here. Thank you for your thoughts today. Cara, as always, you're so amazing and so much fun.
I love you. This was amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. I'm
Thanks,
gonna
ladies.
post I'm gonna post this later. Share it, comment on it, do all the
Yep,
things. Love you ladies, and we'll see
you
you soon.
got it.
Thank you, Katie.
Bye,
Wendy,
Kara.
amazing.
Bye, Wendy.